So remember how I told you guys when Victoria Alonso was let go from Marvel that all the nonsense was going to start coming out shortly after she was fired? And this is pretty much confirmation of this. I've seen so many different articles about Victoria Alonso more in the last week than I have in the last year, I would imagine. She has completely become the talk of the town because there's so many rumors and so many different speculations happening over the reason why she was ultimately fired from Disney. Now, with that being said, we have a new report coming out about Victoria Alonso because, again, she is the talk of the town. And apparently, Victoria Alonso supposedly never had that much power at Disney, according to a new report. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe this report because, again, Victoria Alonso was one of those people that has been around the MCU for a very, very long time, okay? She was with the company for, I believe, 17 years, which is a very, very long time to be with one particular company. And she was around since the founding of the MCU. And I know a lot of people say that she had the main power around the VFX team, but I just don't ultimately believe that. I feel like she had much more power than is being led on. But of course, this new report says otherwise. So let's see what this article has to say from Bounding into Comics about our good old Victoria Alonso. So it says a new report claims that fired Marvel Studios executive Victoria Alonso never had that much power at Disney at all. And then it says this new report comes from Matthew Baloney at Puck, where he discussed a now public battle between the Walt Disney Company and the fired Marvel Studios executive. Baloney writes at the outlet, Alonso never had that much power at Disney, despite her public profile and personal positioning, though she did lord over Marvel's VFX contractors. Aside from this bit of information, Baloney provides his point of view on the now public battle between Alonso and the Walt Disney Company, claiming that much of it has to do with her producing the Amazon Studios film Argentina in 1985, rather than a slew of reasons that they could have candor for, namely her belittling behavior towards vendors, the relentless self-promotion, or the fact that the visual effects in Marvel Productions, which is her actual job, have been specifically and repeatedly called out as lacking by the fans, the media, and actual VFX professionals. Now, see, I just have a major problem believing any of this because ultimately her title as executive producer, I feel like that title alone gives her an immense amount of power over at Disney and Marvel. We see her taking pictures with a bunch of different actors in the Marvel Studios. We see her in pretty much every premiere, every video, every movie that comes out, every TV show that comes out. So again, I just don't feel like this lady didn't have that much power. I feel like she didn't have all the power, obviously. She's no Kevin Feige, but ultimately I feel like she had more power than they're letting on. And this particular article or this particular report is still talking about Argentina 1985, which apparently her lawyer has come out and said that this has nothing to do with her firing. So if her lawyer is saying that, then ultimately it must not have much to do with the firing. I'm not saying that lawyers don't lie. All I'm saying is I still need to see what she's going to have to say because apparently she's supposed to be coming out with a statement over the next couple of days. I don't think she's made that statement quite yet at the time of this filming of this video, but I'm sure it's going to come out soon. But let's see what more has to say. So, and again, also with this whole belittling behavior thing, that's one consistent thing that we hear about all the time, that she apparently belittled a lot of vendors when it came to VFX work, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, this woman, even though she's faking a huge smile right here, ultimately, I can believe that she was a bit of a hard ass when it came to a domain that she specifically controlled, which was VFX. So it says, however, this claim that Alonso did not have that much power is significant as it signals that not much will change at the Walt Disney Company when it comes to the social agendas the company has embraced, especially the promotion of sexual orientation and gender identity to young children. Now, again, I've said this before, and I will say it again. Just because Victoria Alonso got fired does not mean that Disney's going to get off their bullshit. I mean, we've said this time and time again, and I will say it again till I'm blue in the face. She is not the only one that thinks like this. She is not the only one that believes in this ideology. She is not the only one that's going to promote this ideology over at Disney. There are plenty of people that are still at Disney, that are still employed, that are going to be pushing their social identity politics. It's just the truth. Like, you cannot deny that. Kevin Feige himself pushes it, and he's the head of the studio. So if he's going to be pushing it and he's the head, what makes you think that everybody else under him is not going to be pushing it? Of course there's going to be people that are going to be pushing these identity politics. So if anybody's expecting identity politics to suddenly disappear because Victoria Alonso was removed, I don't think that's going to be true at all. I think that's going to be actually one of the biggest lies told, because since she's not the only one who was pushing that stuff, obviously other people within Marvel are going to continue to push it. So it says this agenda was specifically revealed by former Disney CEO Bob Chapek when the company chose to embroil itself in a public debate over a Florida law banning instruction of sexual orientation and gender ideology to children in grades kindergarten through 3rd grade in schools. Now, I've made so many videos on this, so there's no reason to go into it again. But ultimately, you guys are aware that Mr. Chapek, a.k.a. the fall guy for Bob Iger, he was all for it, okay? Like, when he first initially tried to deny the parental rights and education bill, he did so in a neutral manner. He tried to say that Disney didn't have a lot of power to affect bills like that and would rather remain politically neutral. Now, that is a great statement, and that's what they should have stuck with. But unfortunately, Disney decided otherwise. Disney realized that the mob was not going to let them go because they were too busy pandering to the mob beforehand. So how can you pander to them and then say, oh, we're not going to support you on this particular bill that you happen to be angry about? Of course, they're going to be forced to make a decision. Now, everybody's aware that Disney ended up going the side of political agendas and decided to come out in full support against the bill. Even though they tried to fake and say that the bill was named something that it wasn't, they tried to call it the Don't Say Gay bill and all that other stuff. It was bullshit. But ultimately, the bill has come and gone, and for Disney, they saw it easier to do something after the fact than to actually do something while the bill was in the process of being passed. They were too busy to do anything while the bill was still working its way through the legal system, but then the moment the bill was passed, all of a sudden they want to release a statement saying how sorry they are and what they're going to do to change it. It's kind of ridiculous, but again, this is Disney. So it says Chapek wrote in an email to Disney employees, because this struggle is much bigger than any one bill in any one state. I believe the best way for our company to bring about lasting change is through the inspiring content we produce, the welcoming culture we create, and the diverse community organizations we support. That's Disney's way of saying the best way that they can do anything is by indoctrinating kids and all that stuff through their content. Because again, as we've seen with Marvel movies, especially in Phase 4, as we've seen with the TV shows they're coming out with, even their animated films, or even their remakes for that matter, you see that that's what they're trying to do. Their ideology is all over the place in their content, and they feel like their content is the way to do it. And you know what? They're right. They know that their content is the way to indoctrinate people little by little, and even though they may get a lot of pushback in the beginning, ultimately in 10 years, 20 years, who's to say that people's guards won't be down little by little, more and more, to the point where they start accepting this nonsense, and before you know it, it becomes a new normal. That's what they're ultimately trying to do, and Disney has definitely chosen their side. They've chosen the side of being a political company and not an entertainment company, and that's what they're ultimately going to try to succeed at. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.